Hello everyone, Erica Rock here, Spiritual Catalyst, here to share about unconditional love embodied, walking the path of love as a spiritual path, as a spiritual practice. So yesterday in my video, I shared about how I was in meditation and this vow was presented to me. And it was like the universe, the creator, the one true light was inviting me to declare and to vow to myself and to the all that is, that no matter what shows up in my life, my response will be one of love. And I said yes, like my soul was like yes, my heart was yes. And then the fine print was revealed, which was, so saying yes to this, you know, everywhere when life serves you up, whatever it is, fill in the blank, and your response is not love, that's where your work is. That is where we need to dive deep into ourselves. And so a lot of times, you know, what this will entail is to look at the archetypal forces within, like the inner judge and the inner critic, and to look at all beliefs, patterns, predispositions, conditioning, stories, narratives I've bought and sold to myself, where when things happen in life, I don't show up in love. I show up perhaps judgmental, critical, blaming, shaming, guilting, all those, you know, all those things that we do. But I'm really committed to walking this path of love, and I'm really radically ready to look at and be honest with where I'm not showing up with love, with a response of love. And so right after I made the video yesterday, sure enough, something happened and I noticed that my mind started to create certain narratives around it that were not of love. And I immediately noticed it. And so some questions like were downloaded and flowed through my consciousness in that moment to help me shift my perspective to the sacred vow that I've taken. And so I present these questions to you because, you know, yesterday in the video, I did invite people, like, if you want to walk this path, take the vow right now, speak it aloud, declare it to the universe, and then proceed. And so after this life thing happened and, you know, the commentary, the narrative and things were certainly not from a place of love. Now, deep down, they were from a place of love. But on top of that were some layers of judgment and criticism and spinning the story in such a way that was just not optimal or life supportive. And so the following questions came to me so that I could align with love, look at the situation differently, make a different choice that was more loving, so that I'm walking my path, walking my talk, doing the work. And so the questions were, and you might want to write these down, because as life happens to you, I found, yesterday, I found these questions to really help me realign and to zoom out and look at everything from a much more loving, soft, graceful, compassionate place, which vibrationally always feels better, always. So the first question that came through was, what would love say? What would love say about this scenario? And you can fill in the blanks with whatever you've got going on. What would love say? And really sit and feel and allow whatever wants to arise as the answer to arise. What would love say? And then the second question was, what would love do? What would love do? And as that question came through in relation to the experiences I was having yesterday, the answer was love would be patient. Love would give the benefit of the doubt. Love would love this person even more because obviously they need it. And that can always be such a challenge, right? Like some of the people that are the hardest to love for us, they're the ones that need it most. And so therein lies the challenge. Like, can you love despite the fact that you're looking at their behavior and wanting to scream? What would love do? The next question was, how would love respond? Which is very similar to what would love do, but how would love respond? How would love respond? And I knew as that question came through, love would certainly not respond in the way that like my gut reaction was responding, with criticism and judgment and all that kind of stuff. So how would love respond? Awesome question. Awesome. Especially when we're pushed up against the wall. And I find that these questions and this path, this path of love is its own spiritual journey. It's its own practice that is so timely as we're going into the holiday season, and we need to perhaps get together with family. And family can always seems to be like a sore spot for a lot of people because that saying, we hurt the ones that we love the most, AKA family. And as I've kind of meditated and prayed and like looked underneath the behavior, like why do we do that? Why do we hurt the ones we love the most? And I'm about to give you an answer, and it's not an excuse for why we all do this and we all do it, but it's an explanation. It's one of a zillion. It's not the only one. But a lot of times, the people that we feel safest around, like our family, we know that for the most part, they're gonna love us no matter what. No matter how we behave, no matter like what shenanigans we're pulling or whatever, that they'll love us. And so we kind of like do this thing where we can behave quite like naughtily, it's a new word, naughtily, with family. And yes, of course, in this time of transparency and stepping into our authentic energy and power and truth, we're putting a line in the sand, especially with family, saying, no more. But historically, like we play this game with the people we love the most because we expect that they'll always be there until they're not there, right? So how would love respond? The next question, how can I bring more love into this situation? How can I bring more love into this situation? It is said that love is the answer to everything. Love is the answer. So how can I bring more love into this situation? And then see what comes through. And the bigger challenge is, can you execute? Can you, the false self or the ego, they refer to it, has like strong reactions and wants to be right and wants to make other people wrong and wants to blame and shame and all of that kind of stuff. So can we put our side away to the side? Can we put our side to the side and bring more love to a situation? It can be a big pill to swallow, but I can promise you this, when we respond from a place of love, it will always feel better. Why? Because we are one. And not to sound like cheesy or cliche, but we are one. And when we treat someone else not well, it hurts us. Like you like the ego is like, oh yeah, you need to get revenge, you need to do this, put them in their place, da 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 da. And maybe sometimes it is appropriate to put people in their place, optimally doing it from a place of love. But when we hurt somebody, we tend to walk away with a bad taste in our mouth and our like this tightness in our stomach and a heaviness in the heart. Because at the end of the day, the truth is that other person is us, and that's how we're treating ourselves. And it feels like shit. And I'm sure as you've gone through your life, you've figured this out. You're like, man, you know, when like I don't treat others the way I would like to be treated, it doesn't feel good. It's not supposed to feel good. And another question is, how can I love myself more through this experience? How can I love myself more? Maybe you need to be more patient. Maybe you need to get still and silent and just go within. Maybe you need to go out in nature. Maybe you need to go for a swim in the ocean. Maybe you need to go for a hike. Maybe you need to sit under a tree. Maybe you need to get creative so that any other emotional reactions and responses can be filtered through in a healthy way through some creative endeavor. Maybe you need to throw some crazy heavy metal music on and like bang your head and thrash around and move that stuff. One of my favorite questions that came to me in 2012, and I'll never forget it. It was a life-defining moment for me, and it changed everything. This was, how can I experience how much the one true creator loves me? And then the next thing I heard was to let go of any expectations about how that love was supposed to feel, what the experience of that love was going to be like, because whoever was leading, guiding, and directing me knew that I was expecting it to show up in a certain way. And if I did that, then I was going to miss how it actually showed up. And so I got quiet and still. And the stillness and the silence became so deep, so pure, so immaculate, so like crystalline. So it was like I had done the Nestea plunge into the abyss of nothing. And in that abyss of nothing, at first a little bit of fear came up because, you know, a lot of us have like way back here somewhere, this fear of the dark, or a judgment that the dark is bad and equals evil. And the truth is, if I invite you right now to shut your eyes, close your eyes, what do you see? You see darkness. And this darkness represents the fertile void of creation. It represents the womb of the goddess. And the womb of the goddess is anything but evil. It's full of love, full of sweetness. So I share these things with you today, hoping that in some small or perhaps big way, that these questions like turn a light on in your consciousness and in your heart. And you're like, yeah, I can do that. Like, and it is a practice of consistency when things show up and the response or reaction is not love. We want to use one of these magical questions to get a higher perspective, a more full perspective, come from a place of heart-centered consciousness, and at the very least hold love, hold the unconditional love for ourselves as we navigate life's challenges that are sure to show up. So the questions again, what would love say? What would love do? How would love respond? How can I bring more love into this situation? How can I love myself more? And the very last one, which is my favorite, is how can I experience how much the one true creator loves me? How can I experience that more? And as we ask that question, because universal laws, you ask a question, the universe has to answer. And with that last question, I just invite you to let go of any expectations of how that love, how you should experience that, what it should look like, and just be radically open to what occurs so that you don't miss it. And if you download any other questions that would be helpful in this spiritual path of unconditional love, please share with me. I would love to hear them. So, thank you for connecting in today and listening to this. If you have any questions or want to share experiences of like, as you listen to this, perhaps like there was an aha something, I would love to hear it. And if you know someone that could benefit, please share this with them. I always appreciate that. So until next time, all of my love.